All right, we should be live. Hello and welcome to a special edition of Audionautic Deep Space Network. Hopefully this is working. We have no idea with the way all of this is going, so let us know. But we are together. Look, first hands, proof of non-AI existence. And we can high five. We're physically in the same space. So yeah, Curtis, what's up?
Been a ride, isn't it?
Oh, you're telling me, dude. It's been a rough journey to get there.
So for those of you who have just come into this or are watching back, Sunwarper, based in LA, has flown. You went to Lake Como, right?
Yeah, well, we went Milan first.
And to Milan.
Yeah.
All right, so we went to Milan.
I'm gonna just check that we're working.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I'll tell the story. You check
Yeah, you go ahead.
So Sunwarper has flown into Italy. He came through Italy with his family and came up through into the Swiss Alps.
Yeah, look. I don't even see latency on it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And we are live.
Yes.
Wicked. It worked. We'll carry on. I've driven from Prague. I've come through Prague, through southern Germany I stopped in Liechtenstein, actually.
Oh, nice.
Really, really bloody.
Yeah.
And then came up here. And we are in Interlaken, or the area of Interlaken in Switzerland. In real life, we've been working together, been friends, and been here for 5 years, getting for 5 years.
Yeah.
But this is the first time they're actually in the same room. And one of the most important things that I want to mention before we move on is the fact that we both turned up in grey and green t-shirts.
That was not planned at all. That's the last bit of laundry I have left before I do a load. And then, I don't know, you're probably running the same. But yeah, we've got our Audionautic uniform. Usually it's red.
Yeah.
But I guess we went green because of the green in Switzerland. So, we're doing that. Smiling Air says, and I think I can share this. Good to see you both. What's going on? Great to see you here. Yeah. Let us know if you have any questions about Audionautic, anything like that. This isn't exactly planned. Jupes is in the chat, says, what a madness. Yes, I know, for real. This is crazy. Yeah, back on the travel, though. Traveling with a 10-month-old is
rough.
Not for the faint of heart, man. And that kid, you'll hear him because he's going to be coming in a minute. But he's very loud. He's very loud on planes, on trains.
And automobiles.
Yeah, it's rough, but luckily people are very understanding. I mean, we feel bad just because he's loud and it's, but he's just a little kid. He just gets riled up and travel. It's all, the time change really messed him up. Because we're like, what, 8 hours difference or something?
I think it's 8 hours right now, yeah.
So it was nice. Today I got to just jam, play instruments, hang out with Curtis. Let me see if I can show what.
We've had a whole stuff.
Yeah, we've just been filming a couple of videos. We've been, let me see if I can get this to not fall over. We've been what should we call it? We've been working in Ableton. Yeah, I had to deal with Ableton. I actually did some sound design in Ableton. My eyes burned, but I did it. I fought through the pain and I did it. And I made a little sine wave like noise pluck synth that was really cool. But he was showing me Ableton. We were making some jams. We filmed them, so we're gonna have some videos probably in a couple weeks once we're kind of back and the madness kind of settles and all that. We'll both edit one or something like that. But we did some just set up a mic, set up the camera, started recording, and just like he showed me how to do Ableton and all that. What do you think? Anything you want to add to that?
It's been great. It was a whirlwind. It was great. It's like you get. It's the thing is, it's like an unspoken language where you put these things into play, right? And then you just go into it, and it just works, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, the one thing what I do always admired about Ableton is the looping.
Yeah.
And just like, and then but you can go in, unlike the SP or something, you can go in and then let me adjust the parameters, let me quantize it afterwards. And all that. So yeah, I see that face. You're thinking like, I'm slowly converting him. I'm winning him over slowly.
We're getting there.
And speaking of, Eon Lake is in the chat. It says matching t-shirt vibes. Yeah, I know. The uniform, we still, even when we're actually in person, we didn't talk about it, but we got matching uniforms. Abby, our patron, is also in the chat. What's going on, Abby? Good to have you. I know we're at a little bit of a different time. That's just the matter of crazy time changes and whatnot. But we're here. We're hanging out. We didn't really plan anything for this because the plan was to get here.
We spent so much energy getting here that we didn't even think about what would happen.
If you have any questions, I mean, to be fair, come August, we're celebrating 4 years. That's 4 years of Audionautics. So we're kind of pushing this up. And this is kind of the 4-year celebration. So we're just hanging out. We're talking. So go ahead if you've got questions, anything you think we should ask each other because we've never seen each other in person regarding music or anything like that. Let us know. Post it in the chat. But yeah, let us know also what you've been up to. We weren't here last week.
No.
I mean, we weren't here obviously last week, but we weren't here on Audionautics. So it's been a couple weeks.
It has.
I haven't even kept up with the news because I've been just traveling.
It's we have got a few messages in the inbox and emails from people, and we haven't had a second to reply, have we? Because it's been on the road. Yeah. We will get back to you in due course when we hit. You're flying back at the end of the week, aren't you?
I think Sunday. Oh, I think it's raining.
Is it raining?
Yeah.
Go first bit of rain. It's always nice.
It's gonna get rained on.
It's as you can see, I'm a bit sunburned. It was so hot yesterday, and I was out in the lake swimming out, and it's just a Brit abroad as it goes. But yeah, I'll tell you what then. Let's start with the fact that we're going to be pushing up. This is the unofficial celebration 4 years of Audionautic, which is happening about 4 weeks from this date.
I don't even know what day it is, dude.
No, it's Wednesday because it's ADSN.
Well, that's true. That's true. Everything's so off, man. I don't even know what existence is anymore.
But yeah, we've got it's about 3 or 4 weeks until our 4th anniversary, and this is a good way to start talking about that as any. So let's start with a little kind of thing where we started to where we at. Do you remember
I just want to say that's brilliant improvisation on your part. This is why I'm so sleep deprived and jet lagged, and you're good to go. You're carrying the flame, man.
This is the non-dad. It will flip in a few years. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get
there. So 4 years. Do you remember our first episode? Or what do you remember from our first episode?
That we filmed it with video, and then we had like issues or something, and we didn't do it. Well, actually, no. The first episode we did was that like where we kind of set the stage of what we were going to do. And that's nothing like what we're doing now. Because I think the original goal was to interview artists each month or each week or something like that, kind of get their ideas. And we still are doing that maybe once a month with all of our label releases and things like that. But yeah, it's kind of evolved a lot over time. But yeah, was there more to your question that I remembered? I remember
from the first one.
Yeah, I remember we did that. I remember it was a totally different time that we filmed. It was night at my time because you were in Vietnam. It was like 7 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a completely different way of doing it.
Yeah.
I remember we batch recorded 3. We batch recorded with Survey Channel, with Star Madman, and
Spectre, right?
And Spectre.
Yeah, and then we did that first it was that 00 episode that we did where it was like just saying like what our plan was, what the show was about, and all that.
Yeah, and as much as we became what we become today, we were kind of navigating it. We didn't really know entirely what we wanted it to be at the time. In the best of ways.
Yeah.
In the best of ways.
Yeah, I just remember we like filmed it, and then we edited it, and we were like, editing the video is gonna take too long, and this and that. Now we edit videos like all the time. It's so funny, but yeah. By the way, in the chat, it looks like Smiling Airs and Eon Lake have been discussing doing a remix, or Smiling Airs remixing Eon Lake. So that's what I love to see about community. I mean, that's why we have the Discord. That's why we do this. It's all about community. It's evolved into this community thing. And just really quickly, a massive thanks to all of our patrons who help make this actually happen. Week in and week out, you guys support us. And yeah, it's awesome. It's great to have your support. And that allows us to do all this stuff. So if you're new to the channel or anything, or you're watching this, patreon.com/audionautic. I'd say the link is in the description, but it's not at the moment. It will be after. I don't think there's anything in the description, maybe the stock thing we set, but we will put the link in the description. You get a bunch of additional content, Discord channel that's exclusive to patrons, as well as a hangout and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of our patrons. Anyways, Curtis, carry on, my friend.
Yeah. So just a nice way to go. I think very quickly it's always been about community.
Yeah.
To just branch off from what you've been saying.
Nice. Yin and yang, right?
It's always been about community and this notion of building the community. And the very fact that we're sitting and talking about this now, and you've got Smiling Areas and Eon Lake.
And Abby and Jukes and everybody.
Everyone's there doing something and chatting amongst each other. And that's the best thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just this notion of something that is traditionally very isolating, for want of a better phrase, maybe, yeah, and something that we do alone, and something that we do in our rooms, or we do in a studio, which is not necessarily on our own, like, and then but then to bring it into this full world where people are discussing and people are together and people are doing things, it is absolutely amazing. To see that grow and see that blossom in that regard.
Yeah, no, definitely. All right, so we were reminiscing about episodes 1 through, actually it was 1 through 4 because we did a roundup. Remember we used to do roundups
Yes.
where we would like take the things we learned from those 3 episodes. It's basically we just condensed everything from those 4 episode arcs into like episodes, you know?
It's like we take the best bits from each one.
Yeah.
And kind of run through it in that regard. Which in a way we continue doing on a weekly basis.
That's what I mean. We kind of like condensed it all into one because when we do the interview, we then talk about the takeaways and all that stuff. So, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else? Then let's see. We went from Audionautic to, was it Lightspeed? Was that the next iteration?
It was. That's when we. Was that when we started doing video, or are we still doing?
We did video near the end of Audionautic.
End of like.
No, Audionautic. Like the original episodes were called Audionautic.
Yes, and then we went to the Lightspeeds.
Yeah, and we had, that's when we started having Eon Lake on more.
Yes, it is. You're completely right. You're completely right. Yeah.
And Eon Lake, I'd send you a link if you could join, but we can't do headphones, so it would cause like a echo.
But
Hold on.
Have we got anything? Yes, because that's what Eon Lake is. Let's put him here.
Here's Eon Lake.
Yeah.
Eon Lake, what do you think about Spotify? I hate it.
It works.
Dead ringer.
There we go. Dead ringer, exactly. But yeah, Lightspeeds. They were the beginning of the podcasting fashion, wasn't it? Short form, less than 10 minutes.
No, it was somewhere like 30, especially with the Eon Lake. No, not just with the Eon Lake, but the ones with the Eon Lake, they were like modular ones. It was basically just like running through a specific topic.
They were complete production, which is kind of the precursor to what we do now.
Yeah.
It was complete and utter. Just, this is a tip for doing this, or this is a way of doing that, or this is how we thought about this.
It's basically one part of ADSN.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, one part. Yeah. And I kind of, it's interesting, and then it breeds on through. And what is the point? When did we decide to start going live in that regard?
I think, honestly, it was because of the amount of editing.
I think, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it was because of the amount of editing, but we were like, it's much more fun if we can have a... I'm reading Eon Lake's, my IQ just quadrupled. Eon Lake's a guitar. We missed you, bro, but yeah, I think we were like, we could do it more frequently because Lightspeeds were taking a lot of time, so we had switched to, I think, every other week or something like that. So we were like, we can do it more consistently, we can have more interaction, we can have everybody in the chat, because that, I mean, is what makes this, for me at least, like having the chat, interacting with the chat, being able to share what chat's thinking and all that. Because, I mean, it's cool talking about gear, but it's great to hear what everybody's thinking about it and then kind of like just discussing it, you know? Because
the actual community that we've
exactly, because it's like, you said it, it's very isolating doing music and stuff like that. And it's nice to be like, when we get excited about a piece of gear, like, oh, look at this. Like, I was talking with Curtis, because this is his guitar. It's not Eon Lake for right now. Hold on, Eon Lake. You'll come back in a second. But he's got a telly that has both normal Telecaster pickups, and my telly has a humbucker in the neck, and I always use neck pickups. And I was like playing his, and I thought, geez, this is really twangy. And then I realized, I said to him, boy, your telly's way more twangy. He's like, because you got a humbucker. It's like, oh yeah. But just being able to talk about that, by the way, we're back to Eon Lake. He's here, don't worry. But just being able to talk about that kind of stuff is like, it just makes it so much more fun. And then being able to do that with people all over the world, which, I mean, we're all over the world, I guess, to be fair. But yeah, it's really cool.
It is.
Yeah.
It is very much so in that regard. And like you say, to watch it kind of grow and it splinter into different things, and then to take it, because for a long time it's been very much us at the head.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of filtered down, right? But now, in the last, I'd say, year or so, it's become much more anarchic, and it's become a lot more kind of it sorting itself out. And the people up among themselves are chatting, and that's just music to my ears. Excuse the pun. Nice to see.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, that's the best part. But I mean, so we've been doing ADSN for what? 2 years?
Doing ADSN.
Or is it a year?
Well,
and a half.
It must be over
Well, yeah, we're on
We're
120, right? Yeah.
Give or take a few weeks, we've missed 52 weeks in a year. We've been doing it just over 2 years.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think we had a 2-year celebration or something.
We
I
did.
don't know. I'm so off right now from the lack of
Everything.
Yeah. Food, sleep, travel, time change, it's everything. But yeah. So yeah, I think we've been doing it for 2 years. That's crazy. And I feel like ADSN has changed in itself too.
In what
You know?
sense?
I don't know. I just feel like, well, I feel like we've all gotten more accustomed to like the live aspect of it and just like I don't want to say like being on the camera, but just like interacting in a live sense because there's latency issues and things like that. So I think we really got something there. Like it's changed a lot. I watched an old one like recently, just looking for some B-roll or something, and was like, whoa, everything's so different. So yeah, I just feel like it's changed a bit. I don't know. Do you not feel that, or
No,
do you feel that?
Totally. I want to get you.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll formulate more. You share your part, and I'll formulate, and then we have something from Smiling Hairs in the chat too.
That sounds good. I think just from the in the green room or the production perspective, I think we're a lot slicker than we were.
Yeah.
I also don't think we're taking it. I think at the beginning, I feel like we took it very seriously, which is a good thing. It's good to take something seriously.
I was like,
it's good to take stuff seriously, but also, I think as we've understood that that we've always been flexible with our formula, and so to speak,
Yeah.
and we've always been flexible with how we do things. And as life has continued, you've had a baby, and that, and I've gone through, and I've had multiple changes. Which
dude, you moved from Vietnam to Czech.
I just think it's good that we kind of realized down the line that it's flexible and it's something that we can do with.
Yeah.
Which means that there is this notion that we can be playful with what we're doing, and that we can bring different stuff. Each week, when we bring something to the table, be that news, be that a bit of marketing, be that a round robin or something, it gets different reaction based on what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Which allows us, or at least from my perspective, has gone, we can just bring the vibe and bring some ideas to the table, and whatever it is, it's going to be a good time, and we're going to be, and in that, and being disciplined. We have call times, we have cut-off times, we have schedules, we have deadlines. I'm a chaotic person, but Audionautic runs to a deadline, and I think that kind of has allowed it to grow and run efficiently in that regard.
Yeah, I'm just posting our link to Twitter.
What is Twitter?
We forgot. Oh, X, whatever. We forgot that, so I'm doing that.
Why are you doing that?
You share that because it's about a pickup, which is always nice.
So Smiling Arrows says, "Hell yeah! I used to go with my meaty pickups and then move to cleaner high-end pickups and use pedals to give it heft. My proto-synthesis education." Which is a really nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
Proto-synthesis education. There's an album title right there.
Proto-synthesis education. Yeah.
Really like that. But that makes sense. That means Smiling Arrows, is there a reason that you made that shift? Is there a reason for the change in tone? Was it about curiosity? Was there something different about the tone you were trying to create? Was it just a different vibe? I'll be really curious to know.
What's your pickup journey?
Pickup journey. It's a good question. I started on a Yamaha Pacifica, which just had a bog standard humbucker and single coil pickup in the bridge.
Oh wow!
And I was in a rock band at the time, and that worked beautifully. A great standard guitar. For me, it's always the main tone has always been a Stratocaster.
Yeah.
I sold my Strat before moving from
I
NAMM
remember
to
that. Yeah.
And I regret doing that in the sense that I like this Tele. It's a nice twangy guitar. It's a really nice vibe. It's the sound for Maroon.
It's so funny, just to interject. Sorry, but I found it was way more twangy when I played it than what I hear on like Maroon. Maybe it's the settings you had in the guitar, because we just set up like a quick patch for the guitar, and then we're gonna fix it in post and stuff. But I was like, this is twangy. I was not expecting it, but now I gotta re-listen to Maroon with that context in mind and see if I find it that way.
It goes through a lot. It goes through the Strymon.
Oh,
it goes through the arena.
Yeah, that's true.
It goes through a lot of pedals, and there's also sound design. This is very stock kind of thrown in.
That's right. That makes sense.
It's very bright.
Yeah.
But it is, and I've always had a philosophy of only having one guitar on an album.
Oh.
But I'm gonna have to break it for the one that's coming up.
Because you have old tracks with the Strat.
Because quite the opposite. I've got all the tracks I've written for this new one is still using the telly, so that'll be two guitars with,
Oh,
one guitar with two albums.
I see. Oh, like a new guitar for every album you're thinking.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What's your pickup, Jim?
Man, I started with a Dean guitar. No, I actually started with a Squire, a little
Of course.
Strat Squire, and then gave that to someone in exchange for a video game, and I got a Dean like Strat clone. And I never really liked that, but that's what like got me started. But it had a rosewood neck and the standard like really noisy pickup. So then I finally got a American Fender Strat, but it still had the noisy standard pickup. So I got these lace Alumatones. They're still in my Strat.
Yeah.
They're still in my Strat. So if you see any videos where I'm using the Strat, you'll see them. They look really weird. They're like aluminum or what, aluminium, however you say it, but with like two-tone color or something. And they have this really, really clean tone. But even when you start adding overdrive, they like it keeps a lot of character and a lot of like I don't even know how to describe it, but there's something to it because they're meant for blues, I guess, really. But I got them because I was all into blues and Jimi Hendrix and like stuff like that at that time, so that's why I got them. But I still use them, and now that I do a lot of more clean reverb sounds and things like that, they fit perfectly with it. But then I got a Gibson which had humbuckers, and I was doing metal, so I really wanted the humbuckers. I almost put in active pickups. I think we talked about this before, the EMGs, and I didn't, and I was mad at the time, and I'm so glad I didn't because I would have had to have like drilled into the Les Paul to put the battery and all that stuff. And then the Jazzmaster has those stock soap bar pickups. The other Les Paul that I have, it's the stock, what are they, Alnico humbuckers or something? But it has a coil, so I can pull the coil and it goes to single coil.
Oh, cool.
Like a coil switch or something, so I can like transition it, which I really like. But those pickups are weird. I used to hate them because I was still trying to do distorted sounds, but then once I started doing the clean tones, those in that Les Paul are like the best clean tones, but the distorted is not it.
Okay.
The other Gibson is like the opposite.
Yeah, I hear.
It's funny, but the one with the newer pickups and stuff, that's a Les Paul light, so it's like really thin.
Oh.
Whereas the other Les Paul is the big meaty one, like a normal Les Paul. A couple bits of chat, and then we'll get back to the pickup journey. But Smiling Air says on a podcast note, I started listening to you guys during COVID. I don't feel the essence of what you do has changed. You always include the community and are always welcoming to input. Love it. Yeah, no, I mean, we appreciate it. We probably have a slightly different perspective because we like are critical of ourselves. So just like it is ourselves, so we see it, and like I notice the changes and things that I don't think we've like changed. Like we always just try to shift and improve, and I think it's worked.
Oh, yeah.
Smiling Area says, yeah, wow, it's really starting to come down out there. So if you've got some ambient rain in the background, feel free to sample it.
My sound recorder's in the bag.
You should just go throw it over there right now. We need this noise for the patrons. Let's see. Smiling Area says, yeah, I shifted because when I play guitar to start with, I wanted noise. Then I realized the cleaner to original input, the more creativity I have with effects after the fact. I hear you completely. That's a good point. And then I also want to say, Bendu is in the chat. What's going on, Bendu? How are you? I know that's pretty early.
It's early.
Yeah, that's pretty early. So happy to see you here because, man, yeah, I was looking at I think, what is it, like 8?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is showing Pacific time for StreamYard, so it's 8:30, yeah. So welcome, Bendu. Hope you're doing well. Happy to have you. Anything else on pickups, or should we move on?
The interesting thing about it, just to bring it back full circle to the production side of things, one really nice thing about doing and what we do.
I'm making Ian like more.
There you go,
bro.
There you go.
Yeah.
The layering. Always come back to layering. The guitars, you can have those beefy EMGs coming through, and you can have a nice little single chord come through, and you can blend together. It's really nice.
I mean, when I started doing more distorted stuff, I was going that Siamese Dream style, you know, like Smashing Pumpkins, where I was doing like 10 to 15 takes.
Yeah.
Like, and when I say takes, I mean takes that I would keep. So it was probably more like 50 to 100 takes.
Solid. Yeah.
But of course, I was using Logic, so I could like blend the takes together and make a thing. But I was getting all these different takes of it and then blending them together using like crazy notch EQs and all that to get just this massive, and they would all have different distortion sounds, all have different panning. Some would be the single coil, some would be the bridge pickup, some would be a neck pickup. So it was just like massive Like if you go to my Stars Above project, the first project I was like releasing music under, the last album I did, that was what I did. It's like when there's distorted guitars, there's like 4 to 12 or 15 even takes of these guitars, and it's all like one's the Strat on the left with this pickup setting and amp setting, one's the Gibson on this side, one's like, and I was just putting them all over the stereo field and just like doing crazy stuff with it. So yeah, you can blend, and blending is fun.
Blending is fun. It's all about the layers in that regard.
Yeah, it's all about the. But to your point, that's what I was getting at. Yeah, the layers. It's like, it. I never used an active pickup actually. I never actually did. I've never used one. Never. But I don't know how they would do with clean. But I like the idea. Just with layers, you can just make everything sound different and blend things together. And like, if you do use different pickup configurations when you're doing the takes, you do these EQ notches and blend them together, and it becomes this really expansive, like impossible sound. You know, like to replicate live, I guess I should say.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense in that.
Yeah.
Then there's that balance. You've got the studio version, and you've got like a live version, for example. You do a lot of live versions of what you do.
Yeah.
And so there's that balance of making something sound as beautiful and as amazing as it can be, and then taking joy in stripping it back to just a single layer of stuff.
Yeah, or just having backing tracks.
Or just having backing. That's the case.
The cheat.
Yeah. Okay. While you were talking, I had another question.
Hit me.
Okay. So obviously there's Audionautic.
Yeah.
Then there is the Sunwarper, and then there's the Curtis, right? There's 3 projects you can say, right? There's the personal project, and then there's what we do as a collab, right?
Yeah.
How has Audionautic, and how has that growth of Audionautic in the community, how has that influenced your own production as Sunwarper, if it has at all?
I think it's done a lot. It's talking through all these things, and especially like working with you, especially when we were doing our collabs. I feel like that was it. But just knowing what gear's out there, discussing like when Eon like talks about a certain thing, or you discuss like, you know, doing this sort of setup. Like even though you guys are typically using Ableton, I'll go back and try and figure out a way to use it or incorporate it into Logic, or discussing like we can run through, oh, I really want a nice, I wanted a really nice clipper before I got Gold Clip. But I wanted a good clipper for mastering, and Eon Lake was like, oh, try this one from, I can't even remember the name. Eon Lake, if you're still there, you can tell me. Was it something? It started with a T, I want to say, but I can't remember. But it was a clipper for mastering, and it changed everything. Like when I started throwing that on the masters, it worked. And then like also not just Audionautic as a podcast, but doing the remixes, doing the collabs, doing I'm blanking on the word, but challenges. That's the word I'm looking for. All those challenges have been a lot of fun and learning in that way. And then with the label too, hearing everybody's different work and then talking to them about it, like FCC talking about how he takes a sample and turns it into a pad with like the panning and the distortion and that sampler. What is it, Tau sampler?
Yeah.
Just like all those ideas, like maybe I'm not going to go out and buy all these plugins or buy Ableton. Sorry, Curtis, but it's like I'll try to incorporate that in my own way.
That's fair. Yeah. It's like a positive feedback loop in that regard. You get ideas, gain ideas.
Yeah.
And then give out ideas, which then you get.
Yeah. Always try to share we always try to share what we learn. You know, we haven't done like Marketing Minute in a while, but that was like a big thing too. When I was starting to get more into YouTube and things, like I was just reading all these things about YouTube and then sharing it. And then we'd all discuss different things with YouTube, and yeah, it makes a big difference. And then like we can also commiserate like when Instagram is just being a complete dud, you know, like nothing's working on Instagram. It's like, oh yeah, that's doing it for me too, and it's just not working. Like the algorithm is just completely changed. So yeah, it's nice to have a community that's not just about the gear, that's not just about the production, the social, like, you know, you go on YouTube and you see these YouTube gurus and everything's just YouTube growth. But it's like, that they're using old information. It's like kind of toxic in a way, you know, it's just like, just that entrepreneur, like, you know, to grind it out, like, you know, 24/7, yeah, you know, like always grinding, like, so you have to like be careful with that. There's usually some useful information somewhere, maybe hidden or something, but like here it's all of these kind of things. Like there's the social media growth aspect, there's the production aspect, there's people who care little about the social media who actually want to do it as full-time. Like it's good to have all of that in one place so it can kind of keep you grounded, but also we can all learn together. Sorry if that's a big ramble because I'm sleepy, but I think that made sense. I hope. Yeah.
I think, like, just to branch off what you're saying, like, you've got the gurus, and you've got the get rich quick schemes, and you've got all that,
Yeah.
and this one person knows it all, and then it doesn't tally up to the notion of a forum. Which, again,
Hmm.
coming back to the Discord, if you're not on the Discord, it's a great place to be. Very burgeoning community there. Again, nothing beats a community having taking a one problem or one idea, and viewing it through many different lenses, especially when it comes to not controversial topics, but topics of the day, such as like Spotify, for example.
Yeah.
um Having so many different opinions and having so many different ways gives such a breadth of information, which cannot be surpassed by one dude with a camera.
Or 3 cameras and nice angles, right?
Exactly. Yeah, there's an authenticity in that,
Yeah.
I suppose.
What about you? What do you feel about that intersection between the three?
I think it's for my own production. I think I have become a lot more appreciative of uh, taking less ownership of my work. So, like, once upon a time, like pre-Fila Math, there was this whole notion of this is me and this is the work I'm doing and this is me and this is my creative expression. This is mine. And then as I've gone on into this world, I've realized and seen that the music I put out into the world no longer is mine. And I say this quite
Mm.
often on air, but there's this notion of it's no longer really mine, and it is meaning something different to completely different to someone else, and I'm okay with that. And therefore, I have less attachment to the work I put out, which I think has allowed me to be more creatively dynamic in that regard.
Interesting.
Mm.
Interesting.
Mm.
Huh.
It's I get less. And maybe this is because I know that I've got Intervoidal 2 coming out next week. I think it's next week. Probably.
Man, I want to say it's in July, right?
It's
Is
definitely
it
July.
24th or something?
Definitely. I want to say 19th, but I could be wrong. I'll
I,
check it. It doesn't matter. My point, and that's the point. I suppose the point is it doesn't really matter as much anymore.
yeah.
It's a moment in time. It's a capture in time. It's
Yeah.
using a production method of that present moment, and it's gone.
Yeah.
And it's no longer something. And I don't get so readily attached to the work that I do, which allows me to be more intrinsic and more creative on my own. If that makes sense.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. We got something from Smiling Airs. For guitar and probably all instruments, the better you get at it, the more you realize simpler playing is at the heart, writing a song that stands on its own merits. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth in that. I think there is that notion of just keeping it simple and keeping it relatable and playing with that. The simplest of tones, not necessarily chord progressions, but just keeping things simple allows for you to be more creative in that regard. I think we can get so bogged down with complicated lead lines or weird time signatures or anything like that, trying to make it complicated, that in the end you can lose the authenticity in it.
I hear you, but I'm gonna play yin and yang because I think
Yay!
there's a space for virtuosity and complexity, and I think there's some really cool things you can do with complexity that sounds simple. Like I remember there was some YouTube channel that used to always break down songs, and they would always say complexity equals simplicity or something, which makes no sense. But in the context of like what they were showing, where they'd show these really crazy chords, but the chord progression was actually really simple, right? So you can take the complexity in one aspect and then the simplicity in another and blend them together and get something really special out of it. So I get what you're both saying. I agree. I'm just saying, I think there's a space too. Plus, like, sometimes it's fun to just shred. And just like go do sweeps and scales and just run through it and alternate the strings and just like go on a just journey of the fretboard or something. So, but yeah, sometimes when you just pair it back to some, I think that's why sometimes even complex sounding songs, when you pair it back to a piano and a singer or just a guitar or two guitars, one's playing the melody, one's playing like the rhythm, it still works because if at the heart there is some form of simplicity or you can get to a simplicity of it, it works.
Maybe it's about finding the madness within the method.
Madness in the method or
Right.
method in the madness? Both, maybe.
But
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. And Spire says, "You know, we were in July, right?" I have no idea, dude. I don't even know.
it's been a bit of a ride. We're a bit all over the place.
Dude, I'm gonna.
I've been in a van for a week. Like, I don't know.
I've been dealing with a 10-month-old with what's it called? Jet lag. So
Jet lag. He's just found his ear as well.
yeah,
Uh,
and mine.
19. It is. It's 19.
Oh, okay.
19. There you go.
I think the 24th was for Reimagined Landscapes last month, or 21st. I don't know. There was something with the 24th. Maybe it was when the mastering deadline was due for you or something. But yeah.
There's something going on.
All right, what else? What else we got?
Yeah. We're getting there slowly but surely. Okay, so that's Audionautic after 4 years. Talks about production.
You know what we didn't talk about actually is the radios we did.
The radios. Oh,
Yeah.
you're talking like the.
We used to do Audionautic radio, and then we did Binary Stars.
We did.
And then Billows was doing ambient music for ambient people.
He was for a while. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And I don't know if it's too soon to discuss our plans for something in the future,
Yeah.
or if we should wait and just say. Yeah, so we're planning to bring some form of radio back because we really want to keep emphasizing the idea of community and a space for music beyond genre per se. I mean, yeah, it's got to be in the electronic and, you know, I don't want to say chill because we do like some noise and things like that, but we want a space where we can have a radio where we can do this. We can hang out live with all of you and we can listen to maybe 4 or 5 songs, like a 30-minute, 45-minute radio show. And we had a name for it. Was it Community Corner?
No, Community Corner is what we do with.
I could have sworn we were like, yeah, let's do it for that too.
Maybe.
But anyways, we've got a radio show. Yeah, we have notes somewhere.
They're in the drive.
This is what happens when we travel across the world to meet. Because he had to travel, what, like 8 hours via driving?
It was.
I know you did it over
if you do
2
it
days.
in 1 day,
yeah.
In 1 day, yeah. But
so, yeah. So we're working on a radio concept because we want to have a place where we can all hang out and listen to each other's music and discover new music and things like that as well. So that's coming. And it's going to come once we're back. I think we're going to start with once a month. But if everybody really digs it and we've got submissions and stuff, we might go to twice a month. But yeah, I think Curtis is looking for the name. It's bugging him. He has so many emails connected to his Chrome. That's why I'm like trying to talk and I'm seeing just like...
It's coming through.
Jeez. But yeah, so we had a couple radio shows and... Audionautic radio was really good. Yeah, we are going to do Community Corner. That's why he just clicked. Yeah, I knew it. See, I can't doubt myself, even in this sleep-deprived state. But yeah, Audionautic radio was a lot of fun, but it was long. We were getting copyright strikes and things like that. So that's why we want to do it in a way that works for the channel and that works for everybody with the Discord and the community. So that's coming. But radio was always a lot of fun. So we're looking at that.
It was.
But yeah, beyond that, what else? Because I know you were talking, and then I was like, oh, radio.
What was it saying? Okay, what were we discussing before that? My ADHD brain comes in.
Let's see, you were saying 4 years of Audionautic. So we did Lightspeeds, we did the Audionautic show, we did, Starstream for our patrons we've been doing for quite a while.
Starstream started as a different show, though.
That's true.
It did, but now it's a patron only.
Yeah.
And it's a hangout. But beforehand, that was the precursor to ADSN.
Yeah.
Me, you... And
Peanut
Lake. And it was patron only.
I think it was patron only, but we would have clips
show
that came out or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that these. That's okay. Sorry, that's the thing, right? We have all these ideas, and we have these things that we want to do, right? And a part of it is what happens when the algorithm doesn't let you to do things, right? So things like binary stars. AMAP, for example, these things are great ideas that we'd love to do, but also because we get copyright strikes and because we get bans, that actually reduces the reach in what we're going to do.
Yeah,
and it's a real unfortunate kind of reality of the world in which we live in, because it'd be so good to do that stuff and have it burgeon and have it grow throughout the community.
Yeah,
you know. So we have to be careful with these kinds of things.
Yeah, it's difficult because I don't want to say we're like beholden to the algorithm, but we do try to have growth, and the patrons help support us and allow us to do this. But to keep doing these things, and with the StreamYard and all that type of stuff. Like there's things we have to cover, like expenses. And so we do have to try to grow. And then just to reach new people, to bring people into the community, we have to be mindful of these things. So again, I wouldn't say we're beholden to the algorithm, but when something doesn't work and it also doesn't seem to be fitting with that, or we're getting strikes that are affecting the channel, then we have to kind of pivot.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're looking at doing it. I don't know if you can hear
It's nice.
yeah, the rain and everything, but
it's due to rain all day tomorrow.
Oh.
So I will take the recorder out.
There we go. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So that's why we're thinking with this community corner version that we're doing, we're going to take a much more nuanced approach with it. But I'm very excited because I really like having the radio, and we're going to do it live like this, so you can be in the chat. We'll be on the stream as well, when the songs are in between songs, talking about it. So we can, it's another way that I want to show learning and growth, like that we can, if the artist is on the show or in the chat, we can discuss these songs together in real time and be like, whoa, that part was cool. How'd you do that? And we can all kind of take away these things. And then in between them, we can kind of discuss like what we kind of like binary stars, like what we took away from it, and just get these different perspectives. Because I always found Binary Stars interesting, which for those that aren't familiar, it was a show where each of us would bring 2 songs to the table and we'd listen to it and then give like our kind of why we brought it, but the other person would give their perspective on it, and usually it was songs each other hadn't heard. So very interested to hear like kind of, because we all have different things we pick up and different ears, and so by discussing it, we'll kind of all get what everybody hears and learn from it and take away something from it. So I'm excited for that. That's why I wanted to do it in that way.
Yeah, for sure. It's like putting a cat in the table, getting everyone around it and just staring at the cat. And having discussions about what is going on with that cat.
Just thinking of Steve because he's not here.
Poor guy. But yes, that's where we're at. So as we move into our, I suppose it's our 5th birthday, so it'll be our 5th year. Sorry, 4th birthday, so our 4th year. That's kind of what we've got coming through the way.
Also, I mean, we didn't even talk much about label. We've really scaled the label this year.
We have.
With releases every month. It's a lot of work. And it was a big learning process dealing. We've had issues with distributors, and I think something I want to cover soon is the differences with distributors, because there's drama between distributors or with distributors. There's certain things that pop up. There's fees, hidden fees, percentages that come from royalty splits and all that. I think it'd be good to look through all these, and like we had one of the free ones we tried using, just like the thing never, we put it through, it was like approved, and then it was stayed in the review process for like 2 months. And then we thought it went through, that was our bad, and we looked like 2 days before it was due or the day it was supposed to be out, and it just wasn't out. And then we emailed them, never responded, so we had to like take it down, go to CD Baby, I think, and use CD Baby, which is what we're doing right now for all of the label releases. But the other issue we had too was another one that was actually a paid one. They just would never respond. There was an issue where an album got submitted, was paid for, and then there was this glitch in the format, the file type, and they just like wouldn't respond, but you couldn't edit it because it had been paid for. So it was just this limbo, and so we had to, it's like, that's the thing, like all this stuff is a learning process, so it can be frustrating, but you kind of take it and just know that you're going to use this knowledge for the next time so that it's not as messed up.
and it's totally like that, isn't it? It's like, it's one big long learning curve. Essentially, it's like, you've got the production side of things, and you've got the musicality and the creativity, and then you've just got, this needs to be done by this date, and you need to get this done, and this shipment isn't working to this, and this is running late, and this is working. Like, we had a couple of t-shirt orders, for example, literally a few days before
we both left,
and traditionally we've gone through one company, and then that company just decided not to allow anything through. So you've got to allow everything. You got to take all of your stuff that you've done, and some of this stuff we've had like in stock or had as like a template, for example, for years, don't have access to anymore. Go get that and put it all up through, and it's that logistical work which is not necessarily fun, but is very learnable. And learnable. It does teach you a lot of things. So yeah.
No, you're right. You just kind of have to go with the flow. Like all these things, there's always going to be something that happens, and you have to just kind of adapt to it. Bendu in the chat says, I've switched over to Lander for most of my releases. The switch wasn't quick, but it worked the way that they claimed. That's good to hear because we are eyeing Lander. The problem is, one, the amount of artists that we have. It requires, they won't do a label thing unless you like are at a much bigger scale. And so it costs like a certain amount. So we're not sure if that's scalable. But secondly, the bigger part of that is that you have to transfer all of your, if you don't want to use your previous distributor any longer, you have to transfer all of those tracks. Like I have 100 something tracks, you have probably like 50 or 70 something, and you have to do all of the original photos, all of the original like metadata, all of it. And we asked them like, oh, could it be like the same photo but a different file name or like a copy of it that we had moved and changed the name? And they were like, well, it's best if you can use the exact photo. And some of these releases are from like 5 years. I think my oldest release is 5 years ago. Philomath might even be older than that, right? Or
2018, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, 1 year, 6 years, right?
Yeah.
Because mine was 2019, the first Sunwarper. So no, 2020. So no, 2019, yeah. For some stuff, but or 28, I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter. 2018 it's a long time. Yeah, it's a long time. And so like that's a computer ago or something that I don't have anymore. So we have to figure all that out. And with all the tracks we'd have to do, because it would have to be his, mine, all of the other label ones. It's huge. And then I have a couple cover tracks which require the mechanical licensing and stuff like that. It's just, so we're working on that, but
it's a slug.
Yeah, it's a slog.
we're not big enough to be a big label. We're too big to be a small label.
Yeah.
Makes sense. We're in that kind of weird thing where we've got a few people, we've got a few label mates, and it's there, but we don't have the capacity or the overheads to make it anything bigger. So we're just kind of like making it work in that way.
Yeah. So CD Baby at the moment, I mean, I think we should do, and chat, you can let us know if you want to see this, but I think we should do like a very in-depth comparison between all the distributors, because there's a lot between them and stuff. But for right now, for the label, CD Baby seems to be kind of like, I don't know if I want to say best choice, but the choice that we have to make. Because I believe it's $10 a release. What's weird is it's $10 for a single or $10 for an album, which I really don't like for a single. But for an album, it's not that bad, because I think CD Baby takes a small percentage, but there's no recurring fee. So you pay $10 and that's it. Whereas with DistroKid, every year you're paying whatever amount. So yeah, that's kind of where we landed, because other ones would have been similar pricing and things like that. Bendu also says, oh, I lost it. We're on an iPad, so I have to do the touchscreen. But he says, luckily I have all the original files, so that part was easy. You're lucky, man.
Yeah, organized.
Yeah, because then you also have to get all of the ISRC codes, the UPC codes or whatever, all that. It's a mess. Smiling Air has also said about the radio, if we give you novel songs, how does it get copyright strikes? So you also put after, oh, I get it. Just to clarify, so the way the copyright strikes, if we were using bigger artists or something like that, you typically get a copyright strike, which sometimes it's not a strike and it's I forget what they call it, but it shows like a yellow thing that it's ineligible, and they're going to put an ad on your video and get revenue for it. And when I say they, it's whoever is holding the copyright. It's usually not the artist, it's the label or some publisher. But other times, and it happens a lot with CD Baby, but when artists have an album through, let's say, CD Baby, or a track through CD Baby, and they list it as collect the monetization, sometimes it will get ineligible, which means that the video either has to be removed that has a song, or you have to put silence where that song was. And so that was the big issue. When you get that red thing, the video is just like, it'll tell you like, this video is not available in these countries, and you have to remove this part, and it gets really weird. And then if you get too many of those, sometimes that can be like a channel problem where it removes your channel or does something like that. So we had to be very mindful and cautious of that, and that's why we kind of had to stop pretty much all of those radio type things. And well, Billows decided to end ambient music for ambient people, but we loved that show from Billows, and yeah, so
it was cool. I mean, Billows did a great job every month,
yeah,
bringing them through.
Yeah,
and that is one of those things where you have a creative idea and you have something that's very authentic and very true to the heart, and it gets disrupted by algorithmic and modern day copyright laws. It's a shame. It's a real shame.
It's a big shame. Yeah,
and maybe one of these days when we can have a medium that goes beyond that, maybe we can do something more like that. That would be nice. Right now, we're online and we're on the internet, and therefore we are somewhat, at least, beholden to the gods that be of the algorithmic world. That's what it is.
That is one of the reasons, though, that I really love Discord. Is even though I guess it constitutes social media or something, it's more like a forum. It kind of reminds me more of the older internet, you know, like all the forum days and things like that. And I like having that space where we can do these things. And we have hangouts like with the patrons on Discord, and the oh man, I keep blanking, the challenges, the genre challenges and community challenges that we do for the sample swaps and things like that. Those are on Discord, and we have a hangout there, so we don't have to worry about that. We've got about 11 minutes. I think we should probably stop in about 11 minutes. We can try and do a little more jamming and have dinner. But if you've got any questions about either Audionautic, Curtis, myself, anything like that that you want to ask, let us know, or anything about distributors. We've got a few more questions in there I'll go through, but let us know. We got 10 minutes left, so hit us up in the chat with any questions if you want to know anything, how we got started with Audionautic, because that was a crazy way we got started with Audionautic. But yeah, let me read a few of the chats and then just put in the chat any questions you have. So Abby asks, does CD Baby allow you to put URLs on an allowed list to avoid enforcement? Because they also say if you use Song Trust, they do. That's a good question, and I don't know. The last time I looked, they did not. I had to, when I was putting Lost Coast on my YouTube, like the SP jams of it, it was popping up with the monetization thing, so I had to just go and like make it no longer content ID or whatever. So I'll look. They really should add that, but CD Baby is so funny because it's like it still feels like the same product that I was using in 2015 when I released the Stars Above album that I put through CD Baby. Like the price is totally different. It used to be $50, I think, a release, and then they'd have deals once in a while. Now it's $10, but it's like everything. The UI is the same. There's like, they don't allow you to do royalty splits. Like there are all these things that are pretty common in most distributors that you see. It's not there. It's not there. And like, yeah, that would be so simple if they could allow you to do that. Then that'd be great. Because like if you do Submit Hub, you have people that put your music on YouTube, and then if you have that content ID, they won't put it on because they need to collect the royalties or whatever, you know, the ad revenue. So yeah, it's interesting.
It's mental that in this day of independent distribution, that you can't make copyright work for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. And it's like they're working for you to collect copyright on your behalf, and you can't control the level or the modes that it does it. It's very weird.
It is. It is. And it's a shame in that regard. It's very finicky. Bandcamp, then. I mean, we have to.
You gotta be on streaming though.
You do. I mean, I'm not saying not.
I mean, you don't have to be on streaming, but if you're trying to grow, and it's the biggest demographic.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, you look at the demographic of who uses Bandcamp versus who uses Spotify.
It's true.
Or even if you look at Spotify versus Apple or something, it's like 35 to 10% or something. You know, like yeah.
You have to be there. I think that reads into that. We discussed using it as a funnel in that regard.
Yeah.
Primarily being on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is problematic in that regard.
Yeah.
It like I said, it's a shame that in this world where supposedly you're doing things for you, you don't make it work for. It can't be made to work for you.
Yeah, I hear you. It's just it's like the, I don't even know how to put it, but it's like what we have to deal with, I guess, as independent musicians. Like you were saying with the label, where we're not at the point where we can get these certain things, but we're not small enough where we can fall into the like other tiers or something. It's kind of like we have to deal with all of these things as artists, because it's like, oh, you have to kind of pick and choose your battles. Like, well, content ID, or do I want recurring fees and a bunch of hidden fees and royalty issues, or get your songs removed and they charge you for it like one distributor might do, and things like that. So yeah. Spinger says, yeah, but new artists are not quitting their day jobs because of streams. They might if they get 1,000 Bandcamp album sales. I don't know. You can get, if you get on the editorials and stuff like that, I know some people get lucrative. Thomas always talks about one of his friends, Thomas, one of our patrons, one of his friends makes bank off of a piano playlist or something like that. So
it can be done.
I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's like realistic. I'm just saying there is the possibility. And Bandcamp, it's hard to get even 100 sales on Bandcamp.
Yeah, you really have to find a dedicated 1,000 followers in order to make that happen in that regard.
Yeah, and it's like so many people. It's like we opened, well, not we, but Pandora's Box was opened with streaming.
Yes.
And the like I wouldn't say rent to own or whatever, but like that own nothing or whatever, but like you don't own it, but you have access to every song imaginable basically. Whereas with Bandcamp, it's like you got to spend $7 for every album you want. So if you wanted to listen to 100 albums in a month, like you could on Spotify for what did they raise their price to? $16?
Something like that. Yeah.
You'd have to pay a lot more to get all of those albums if you wanted to own them and support the artist. And I'm not saying it's the wrong move. I get it. Like Spotify isn't feasible. It's not. It doesn't make sense for artists. But I'm just saying, like, it's like that box was open, and it's like, how do you put that back in to be like, oh no, just start buying artists' work again?
It's true. It's true, and it's a shame as well because it's like the when you're making new music and when you're distributing music and you're seeing it work, that costs an overhead, right? So
Yeah.
it costs to distribute. It costs to put these things to say submit to playlists or through Submit Hub or anything like that. And then if you're not going to see that return back, so to speak, and it's a shame because then you're talking about music creation and then the business of being a music or an independent artist. It gets to that stage where it's the biggest demographic. As an independent musician, can you make it work for you? Can you make it work and be a viable option for you to keep your overheads going? If you start, when DistroKid, for example, brought in covers, right? It's $12 a year for a cover, right? That's an overhead.
Yeah.
And as singer-songwriter who makes their money on doing covers, for example, can they keep that going? Can they keep that going in that world?
Yeah, I have 3 covers through DistroKid, and one of them does continuously well. The other 2 don't, but they're all released on an album, like an EP. So it's like it's what $48 or whatever, or 36. No, 40. I'm not doing math right now, but it costs that much each year to keep it up, but only one is reaping the benefits. So it's like
there's potluck in that. It's also because you don't know what's going to make work. If we come back to we talked about this on many occasions, like this notion of what you think necessarily will be a success, so to speak, might not be, and things that you think will just go into the wind actually do quite well. So it's just you just never know. It's so anarchic. It's so complex in that regard.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same with YouTube. You spend like 10 minutes on a video, and it goes crazy and does super well, and then you spend days working on a video or weeks, and it gets like 500 views or 1,000 views or something, and just like falls off. And you think it's like your best work, and you think the one like I was running short on time one week, and so I chopped up a small segment of the last live stream I did, where I was doing at the end of it I was doing some pulse stretch stuff. So I was like, a lot of people don't watch to the end of a live stream or a video, so I can do this. Like take this section, and so I just did that, and it was like one of my best performing videos. And then a video I did that was about the stem split in Logic, that I spent all this time doing B-roll, filming. Like I had a lot of fun doing it and stuff, which is what matters. But I thought it was going to do well because I got a lot of votes like asking to make it, and it did like 500 views, and it's still stuck at like 500 views or 800 views or something like that. Like you never know,
You never know.
Crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
It is crazy in that regard. What is even more crazy is, as we come to the close of this live stream, is that once again, same room, same space, same continent, same world. Do you have any closing remarks in that regard?
I just think it's amazing that we can come together from across the world, and like, it's like we met through Instagram, through hashtags, and we just started jamming or wanted to do collabs, and then wanted to do this type of stuff and made a label. And I just think it's amazing that we just came together seemingly at random, right? And could just do this.
Algorithmic.
It was algorithmic, I guess. That's true. But we'll just say seemingly at random. But we came together, and yeah, and then here we are 4 years later. Well, really 5 years since we've like started doing stuff together. We're actually in the same room. This is the first time we've ever met. Like it's insane to me. It's surreal. Like my wife was asking me because Curtis came with his van and dropped off all the gear that we've been using, and then went back so we could take the bus. And she was like, well, what was it like when you first saw him? I was like, it was weird. It was surreal. Like, I don't know. It didn't feel real. Like, it was just odd. And then like we just started working. What was so crazy is as soon as we just started working, and like the music just spoke. Like it was I said to him, because we spent like an hour or two filming some stuff and things like that, just without even thinking about it, just like making jams. I was just like, I'm gonna start an A. And he's like, okay. And then we just started doing this stuff. And then I was like, dude, how weird is it? We're just like in the same room. He goes, oh yeah, we are, aren't we?
It's like we just picked up while we left off. Like, We had a chat. We haven't seen each other since the latest ADSN, and then we just carry on as if nothing had happened. But then it's just as if we just stepped into the room and it's been the same as it's always been.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's a bit of a. It bends the mind, to put it in this way.
For real.
Yeah.
For real. I'm with you. Any closing remarks on your end?
Happy 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been 5 years of us doing something together. 4 years of Audionautic. It's been a hell of a ride. It is. It's all consuming in the best of ways, right?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's great fun. Half of it is just fun the entire world.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy, man. We got one comment from or chat from Smiling Ears. I remember Annie DeFranco started her own label for her music and became one of the richest people in music when she actually hit big. The margins for direct sales are so disparate to normal splits. Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you that the Bandcamp sales would be better. It's far more lucrative. I'm just saying it's a lot harder to get 1,000 buys than 1,000 streams or even 50,000 streams.
It is.
That's, yeah. I would equate probably, I mean, it's not an equal equation, but I would think like 100, I mean, maybe even 50 Bandcamp plays is like, or Bandcamp buys is like a couple thousand or 20,000 stream. I don't know. It's a weird thing to compare because it's like apples to oranges. It's so different, but it's just, getting sales is hard.
It is. And you really have to be consistent and you really have to
Yeah.
develop that group. You know?
Yeah. And then you run into like, if you're starting to do merch, just like, scaling. When you start scaling, or if you're doing these larger numbers and things like that, it all costs money, and then the shipping keeps changing. Like, it's gone up so much, especially internationally. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's one of the things that we keep doing. You have to keep moving with this merch and the upfront cost. Like,
Yeah.
if you, like we said, we've done a lot of scaling in the last year or so, and that costs money. And then suddenly you have to think about how to make that product better in that regard. And it's a mindful.
Yeah, it's crazy. But with that, I think, is there anything else you want to add? Probably the last time we're together live streaming, live in person for a while.
For a while.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to.
So you get your ass over to California.
I'm gonna have to get across to California. Well,
do it before having a kid. Trust me.
So we'll make it work. But yeah, it's a pleasure, mate.
Yeah.
An absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Put that on there.
Definitely.
Yeah, and we'll be resuming next week. Normal service is resuming.
Yeah.
Which will be a bit weird.
Yeah.
Because now it
You'll
feels
be like, wait, we're not jamming for 2 hours beforehand? We actually have to like prep for this thing.
there's going to be a bit of sadness involved there.
I know.
But yeah, so we'll be back next week with something. Don't know. We're still here.
Well, I've got a couple of apps I want to cover. So if you're on the Discord, I think it was Ryan from Sketch Audio came on our Discord.
Ah.
He hit me up with a couple of really cool plugins for their AU. What is it, AUSV3 or AUV3
Oh yeah.
plugins? So I think they'll work. I know they'll work on Mac and stuff. I'll see if if that MacBook can even do it. But if we can get codes for you as well. But one of them is it's like a tape emulator, but vinyl as well and stuff. And it's got emulations of the 303 and the SP202.
Nice.
The things that, man, that thing, I was throwing it on my drums. I threw it on a melody I made. Oh my god, it was crazy. I haven't even checked out. The other one is like hype. I think the one I'm talking about is Dr. Vibe, and that thing's really cool. And then there's like a hyper boost or something, which I think is like a saturation or something like that. And then the other one is some sort of like cut, like you can cut samples or something like that. So I'm still looking into it, but we'll take a look at those. If there's time, I'll try to do like a live demo of it. If not, maybe we'll just talk about it and then do a live demo down the road, because really want to get back to doing live demos as well.
Yeah.
That's one thing. We've just been so busy the last couple of months, so it's been hard to do.
Yeah, and we enjoy doing them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are good fun.
Yeah.
So we have got stuff next week. We will be there. I think we might have a little twiddle, have a little play.
Dinner.
Have some definitely food. It's a good time.
Gotta get food, yeah.
Yeah, food. So yeah, thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, well, thanks for watching. Again, it means the world that you all come on every week. We have a blast hanging out with all of you, and much love to all of the patrons who help support this show and let us do all of these things. And now we're actually here together, and it's just crazy. And we've got some, I think I'm like, we forgot to check that the audio like listened to it, but I'm sure it's working. But me being the like, crazy, I'm like, oh my God, what if some, but we've got some really cool things that we filmed. We did 2 tracks so far. I think if everybody in the house is okay with it, we'll try to do one more. But we've had a lot of fun. So we've got some really cool things coming. It would be nice to be able to do these things more often, but maybe we can figure out some sort of like splitsy thing.
Splitsy.
Like you film something and then send it to me. I film something and we release it. I don't know, splitsy thing. That could be the what it's called, splitsy thing, episode 1. Yeah.
I like that.
Anyways, I think we'll call it there. I'm gonna get this end video set. That's not the right setting. Here we are. Again, just massive thanks for joining us. This is huge. It's crazy. It's just so weird to me.
It is.
Like I keep looking at you on there because I'm so used to just seeing you on the screen, and I'm like, oh wait, he's right there. Yeah, he's a real person.
Yeah,
He's not AI. Yeah, we both have legs. Yeah. Anyways, with that, we will see you next week, 11 a.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. UTC.
Oh, it's 6. It's 6 now because we switched to summertime.
Oh God.
So it's normal time.
Yeah,
it's gonna.
We'll post it. We'll post it on
11 a.m.
socials. We'll post it on Discord. We'll do all that.
I've got to do the maths.
Yeah, we'll do all of that. Anyways, until next time. Thanks for watching.